Hey y'all. Oh, I hope everybody is doing extremely well. I know you are. I know y'all are. I hope everybody is having good days. I ain't gonna say good luck, but blessings galore, right? So I missed y'all. We gotta catch up on a few things. I call myself working hard, right? Or hardly working. I've been hanging in there. I like it so far. It's pretty good for me. Very thankful, if anything. So, I'm gonna wait a tiny bit. I'll wait for about 10 people because I want to kind of a lot of the things that I'm gonna say kind of lead into each other. So I'm gonna wait for a few more people to join, and then we'll get into it. Um, Tomorrow's a day that a lot of people all over the world celebrate, I guess, according to the time zone. And I'll do some talking about that tomorrow. Yeah. So, but not in a bad way, because I ain't here to ruin nothing. Excuse me, for nobody. That's not my style. It never has been. So, it'll all be done in good love. Definitely not to go against nobody. So we're just waiting on one more person. But if we don't get the one more person in the next 1 to 2 minutes, that's fine. I'm grateful for my 9. Hey y'all. So we got some good topics. I think I want to first start off and talk about what first caught my attention. Well, my mom said something about it today, which was the student loans, and it made me think of something because she was like, they might start garnishing my money for your student loans. So I was like, okay, well, I'll figure something out. But hey, 10th person, I'm glad everybody's here. I missed y'all, of course. So I wanted to go ahead and give my disclaimer. Hey, Max. Hey, Nia. I do, Nia. Thank you. Hey, Shira, Foxy. I hope everybody's doing good. So, I'm gonna give a disclaimer. It's not for everything, but excuse me, everything that I'm going to say in this live is based on alleged information. Maybe not everything, but a good portion of it. It is what it is, I feel like I have to say it. I'm talking about some of the things that a lot of people are talking about. It just may not really hit the ears of everyone. So, it's strictly my opinion as well. So I wanted to get that out of there. But my mom called me about the student loans. And so I was listening to her and I was like, don't get caught up in messages or text messages with people telling you things. Did you get the letter? She said, yeah, I got the letter, but it doesn't say anything about garnishing. And she's a little older. So I was like, well, let me look into it. So I saw the whole thing with Trump and wanting to garnish the wages of those who have student loans. And my mind went everywhere. It made me think of so many things that it brought me right back to home, which is the Father. And I wanted to share that, right? So, of course, I'm going to be dipping and diving into a lot of topics. Just going to go from Hillary Clinton to all kinds of things. I get a little aggravated when I mention her name, but I need to put a lot of weirdness in this for it to be understood. Hey, Charlotte. Hey, Being Brit. What's up, MC Squared to you? So, uh, she was, when she said it, I sat down and I was trying to watch TV, but the TV was really watching me. And it hit me. I said, wait a minute. So you mean to tell me they send all these fucking billions and trillions of dollars to Israel and Ukraine, but we gotta pay for motherfucking student loans, bitch? You gonna torture the hell out of us but trying to do something with ourselves to not even make the money that we should with a degree. And it really, the degree ain't really even holding no type of water with it anyway, you know? So I think, I think it's very disgusting, and it made me understand why it's so important that we move closer to the Father and do our commandments and live within our means, because then you'll understand college was taught to us to be the good thing, the easy way out, you know, the higher ladder that you would climb to get to where you need to be, but it's a loan. And that's what I'm going to talk about for a good portion of this live, is why is that such a bad thing? You know, Gab, you're going to further your education, you know, you got to pay for it. Well, you know, it wasn't really being paid for until niggas started going. You know, the the whole concept of reading and writing and uh, having the mind kind of shaped into a way where you're programmed to learn the history that's taught to you and what's said to your children. Like, I still teach my nieces and nephews that ain't no motherfucking planets out there. You know, there are no other planets. I know that's what they said, but listen to me. They don't know you. I know you. There's no planets. And so, you know, I go through explaining why there's no planets and show him what the Father says, you know. So if we get back to doing all of that, all of this other stuff won't really mean, I ain't gonna say it won't really mean much, but it won't really do us in how it's doing it. So let me explain a little further, right? Loans and credits equal debt, right? There is a certain program that Jewish people have, and it's not even a loan. I can't call it a loan, but it's called Heter Iska or Heter Iska, Hetriska. And what that is it's pretty much, you know, like how we go to the bank and we get a loan, and usually it's with interest. Okay, with them, with this particular situation that they present, is it's not a loan. There's no debt to it because there's no interest. By their laws that they practice, which is what one of the tiny percentages of what's true with what our Father tells us, is that you do not charge interest to your brethren. So they abide by that. Of course, they abide by that because it's financial literacy amongst them. You know, they keep all the secrets. And we're going to get into that whole welfare fraud thing too, because this all goes hand in hand. You know, this is not boastfully, but humbly what I call wisdom. So go if you're going. Oh man, that dog is crazy. All right, so what was I saying? Oh yeah, so what this is they market it amongst themselves, and you can go to one of their banks. You can go to any bank really and ask for this loan. It's listed as a loan, but it's not a loan. And what the bank teller is going to do is ask you if you're Jewish. Now, if you're not, what they want you to do is get an approval letter from a rabbi. And 20 times out of 20, he's going to want you to convert. Ain't no telling what you got to do to get that. But what it is you don't have any interest. You don't have to pay it back. It's not a loan. You're not left in debt. You are not the borrower either. You become the lender's investment. So what it does is it ensures these Jewish people the ability to establish financial success. It's setting them up for the future. You know, like, bro, with that being said, the whole college loan thing pissed me off because it hit me, and I realized we're not supposed to even be taking out loans. We're not, I was just saying how I got this credit card, and we're not supposed to have these things. We're not supposed to apply to a banking system that was always meant to 10 times out of 10 keep us in debt. It's oppression. This is why the Father didn't want us to become the borrower. You know, we were supposed to be the lender, definitely not the borrowers. So it's pretty much kind of like, if when we do take out these loans, like with the student loans, for example, we become a body or a person that's tied under their authority. That credit score and what's attached to your credit may prevent you from having things possibly at a certain rate that would be more affordable if your credit score was this high or what have you. You know, it's so tied to everything spiritually that this is how they are allowed to get away with these things, especially from these different nations. And then you see why they've tried to stop Gaddafi from giving Black Americans from a billion dollars to, kind of split up amongst all the Black Americans or what have you. Um, it's beyond Black, you know, it's beyond white. It has now become a world that it really is, which is, it's Satan's world. It always has been. And he has his soldiers working real, real hard, hidden behind things that we don't even think about would be tied or associated with him. We don't think a student loan is a bad thing. People go to school to better themselves, become doctors, lawyers, nurses, teachers, engineers, communications majors, journalists, all kinds of things. That takes effort, that takes determination, that takes, and that's crazy, Iris. Hey, darling. Hey, Aurora. And that's crazy. You can't have those things lined up thinking that the easy way, basically, we are not afforded the luxury that the workers of the world are afforded, because they are the makers. They run the top part, the middle, and the bottom. They are the creators of the system that we operate in. So becoming the borrower and not the lender is exactly what the Father didn't intend for Israel. He didn't intend for none of us, really. It's not a surprise why Trump would want, to start back with the whole garnishing of the wages shit. I thought that was crazy to begin with. And mainly, it's got a lot to do with the more you tear a system down, or the more you tear people down, the process is beginning of something worse. So there has to be little things done here and there to kind of run a test, so that they can see how this reaction becomes, or what comes out of this. At a time right now, the last thing motherfuckers need is some money coming out of their check to go to something that they ain't even using. But then you could send away billions and trillions of dollars to a totally a foreign place known to us, to help a certain set of people who wouldn't even piss on us if we were on fire. So you gotta know shit like that is evil. That's crazy. It's amazingly weird, you know. But I have an answer as to why things are like that. Um, it's got a lot to do with the things that the higher ups do. When they sit and they think and they concoct these little weird laws that they want passed, and these little thought processes that they want pushed out there. Hey, Miss W. Things that they want pushed out there amongst the masses. They do what I always say they do. They operate with the evil hand. They do rituals. They do some of the most disgusting things known to mankind to come up with thoughts and ideas. These people, and I say it constantly, are not like us, not like you, not like I, not the worst person you've ever met in your life. You know, these people are bodies that are housing an evil source that allows them to do the shit that they do. Who the fuck sits in the back or up high in an office or wherever, coming up with ideas on how to keep the poor poor, how to keep your foot on one's neck? What does XYZ's 4 million have to do with someone else's 100,000 or 50,000? You know, what the fuck does that have to do with that? The more evil that's practiced, the more wealth these people bring in. They can have money printed. Satan gives them everything that they desire as long as they do the things that pleases him. He is a liar. So they're not going to win. They're not winning. You know, the money that they have, it's, listen, even the richest person, they always go by their net worth of these rich people, because the true wealth that they would have, you know, money requires and acquires money. And, you know, in order to keep money looking like money, you got to spend money. They have some of the most potent drug habits and drinking habits that you're going to run across. I still say Kamala is a fucking drunk and a pill popper. Listen, I'm thankful for Rumble because I get to kind of say what I want to say. TikTok be on that bullshit, right? But they get to drink, because you can't tell me that bitch ain't never been on camera after a good fucking wine glass with 2 strawberries in it full of fucking Chablis or whatever it is that she like to drink. Bitch be loaded, you know? But that adrenochrome runs their lives because it's so expensive. One liter, 1 liter is worth $1 billion. It The amount of torturing that goes into this method, along with the I guess you could say the intense evil behind it, and also the participation, unwanted, ungiven, no type of permission granted from the children, because they, at least for a leader, 100 children have to be unalived, but not just killed. They don't just kill these children, they torture them. See, adrenochrome isn't just collecting the blood of a scared child. It's a process that goes on for 2 whole days. Okay, and there's something that's stronger than adrenochrome, which is called chromochrome. That comes from torturing a child for at least 2 years. Now, what type of torturing do they do? Some of the most unthinkable things that you wouldn't even allow to cross your mind, but I'm going to tell you so that it makes you look at the higher ups and the presidents and the congressmen and all these people who have all these expensive cars and these private jets and can do whatever the fuck they want. These are the things that they participate in. Not all, because there's different levels. But we're talking about like why they're so crazy and in a frenzy about these files. The files ain't even got the good shit in it, to be honest. You know, the things that we talk about are a lot deeper, more so than what's in those files. We knew they were all sucking dick. and doing the things that they do. They engage with children. That's been going on for a very long time. Jews been practicing that since they came from Khazaria. Look at the Baji Batsi boys in Afghanistan. These things have existed for a long time. This is not nothing new at all, you know? But they, Hillary, for example, even in her tape that was all over the dark web, she likes to take nails. She likes to take the child's nose and pull it up, as you know how you make your nose look like a piglet or a little piggy. She likes to do that to the child, scaring them half to death, calling herself a witch, and um, taking nails and sticking nails in their nose. Now, there's doctors around when these people do these things uh, to prolong the intensity, to make sure that everything is done in a certain way for certain results. She likes to take nails and ram them and jam them up the nostril. Okay. Yeah, that bothers me. All while being naked and parading around in pig's blood. See, they don't waste the children's blood on them. That's collected, you know? And one of the things that a lot of them do is they have this process with hot water. And see, what the hot water does is it loosens their skin. So what Hillary does, uh, what was her favorite thing to do was to get these things done. If she was wherever she was, it was always by a drain. The floor had to have a drain by it. And she would have a hose that, of course, was collecting hot water, very hot water. And the water would be running very hot to where it would sometimes burn off or peel away the skin. And she would insert the hose inside of a young lady's vaginal area, which has been done on camera with her prior, allegedly, but it is what it is. She likes to insert that into the vaginal area, let the hot water flow through the body, constantly parade around the young child, screaming and torturing them, scaring them half to fucking death, all while pulling on their skin, testing the elasticity in the skin. Um, it's awful to even think about those things, but these are the activities that they participate in so that they can bring about more power to themselves, so that they can sit in rooms and meetings and come up with all these thoughts on how to lie about being the very best they could be to make America great again. It was all a lie. It was all a lie. America has never been great, and we will never be great. We will only be great when paradise comes. Because other than that, it's not going to get better. We are entering into a moment where we got to stop and think about the things that's going on. What mattered yesterday should not matter today. And you can't think about tomorrow because we got to get past the now. Never mind tomorrow. We ain't even get that yet. Be thankful we want it. We want to see it now, but we haven't gotten there yet. So all of that brought me to one particular thing. Why do these people choose these things? Why do the rich want to gather together to tell the poor, okay, we're going to start taking money from you from your student loans? It's like they sitting in there thinking of all the things they could do because Netanyahu and the other demonic beings got our president by the balls. This is business. You are no longer free. You were never free because we're not practicing freedom. Freedom is fasting. Freedom is prayer. Freedom is not freedom is not taking a vacation and going to the beach. That's not freedom. Freedom is in the mind, and the more I understand that, the more I do want to loosen myself from things. And it's simply because all of that boils down to money. Period. It boils down to money. And the reason why it boils down to money is because the more that you have, because this has happened to me, but in general, the more you have, people can say they love the Father, they love God, they love Jesus, and I have this because of Him. No, listen, the more you have, and I'm not talking about, you know, doing what's necessary to take care of your home and your children and your husband and all of that. That's the way it's supposed to be. That's family. That's beautiful. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about those that excel in everything. And sometimes we may wonder, well, you know, wonder why life won't allow me to have that. These are the ones I'm speaking on, right? You have to understand, not even you, because I'm not really talking to anybody in general, but what it closes out to be is the distant relationship between the father and the person. And let me say something, because the father, when he blesses you with gifts galore, listen, it could confuse the enemy. You know what I mean? And I get that. But there are ways of understanding how and why, you know? So when I think of these people in these high positions who sit around and want to, like Trump was saying last month, I was live and we was talking about this, where he wants to introduce the 15-year car loan or that ridiculous mortgage situation. That's just trying to get niggas and the poor wrapped up in debt. Debt is not something that's just an economical type of thing. It has nothing to do with the economy. It has everything to do with the relationship with your father. You know why? Because he is able, and he is a supplier, and he is the source. And so quite often we think that we have to have XYZ to go along and be, you know, I guess happy. Because I thought that, you know, different level, same devil. I'm not a millionaire, never have been, you know, would like to be. And that's the thing. Now that I'm growing, once I seek the kingdom and I continue to grow, I have everything that's designed and destined for me. And I believe that. That's why I want to head towards that direction. You know, I don't want to know no other way. But these people have learned it by another way. The organizations they join, some people don't even know what they are part of, and you know, it becomes me who's the weirdo if I say something. So I don't. Who am I to say something about anything? Who am I to tell a doctor, oh, that's crazy, you're a doctor because you took an oath? Because it wasn't always like that. We lived in a time where a doctor didn't have to take an oath. A doctor just would go take care of the sick and the needy. But we also had a time where the doctor was a staff in the wilderness, and whoever was sick or having ailment could look upon that staff and be healed without a doctor, without a prescription. You could fast, you know, a full 24 hours of a fasting gets your body rid of certain toxins, certain things. We get to eat certain things and cleanse yourself within yourself. The mind frame changes, the focus ability shifts. You know, what was yesterday is no more. There's power in these things, you know. The adjustment is real, and just not figuratively speaking, you know, literally, like for real, there's a difference in it. Um, that being practiced more than um, doing whatever it is that you know might bring in a few dollars, uh, kind of sets it for what it's supposed to be, excuse me. Because I find myself doing that a lot more now, but then I still find myself in situations where I do need to extend my hand and ask for help, you know? But the outside, from the outside looking in, it gives you a better description on why it's so important to not worship idols and run behind the things that they have and and want those things without understanding how they've gotten those things. You know, some of them have had sex with animals. Some of them have had sex with their children or their sisters, their brothers. They're weird. They are weird. I saw someone on TikTok the other day say something about a guy named Caligula. Caligula was fucked up. He was. He fucking was. They all were fucked up. We're talking about the Bible tells us about these type of people. See, they just renamed the places that they're from. You know, Caligula, Caesar, what's the child name? Mark Anthony. All of them, we were told they're from Rome. Yeah, that's Rome. They call it Rome today, but Rome wasn't always called Rome. Rome used to be called Chittim, and Chittim is in the Bible, and it's mentioned quite often. Now imagine reading it and reading the word Chittim as Rome. It would make so much sense, so much more sense. But see, our preachers aren't going to tell us that because they've made an agreement. They've sworn an oath to not reveal that because once you reveal that, then it takes you down another path. You know, you'll start to question locations, you know, because once you know locations, it shows you the lies. Certain things become revealed and unveiled, you know? So I've learned that loans and going outside of who we are, what's meant for us, it doesn't really get talked about often because we don't need to put ourselves in debt. You know, we don't need to ever become the borrower. We were always the lenders, never the borrowers. You know, we're not supposed to have ourselves placed under the authority of another nation. And that's exactly what the fuck they've done. We don't give a fuck about who they choose to align themselves with because listen, this is why the whole tax write-off thing gets lined up with the rich people because it's the Jews teaching the rich, the wealthy white people under them how to get around. This is why we got that whole update with the, and they fuck around and say 7 families, 7 Jewish families. Like, child, listen, it's so much more than that. That's just their little cute way of saying, oh, we found 7. 7 is such a lucky number. They are losers. You know what I mean? Like, they've been collecting food stamps. They get free housing. Them bitches don't work. They got nice cars. Everything is lined up for them. It's always been like that. Their children even have certain cell phones. Their phones are different from our phones. What the fuck that mean? Bitch, if you got a different phone, then what the fuck do I have? If I got Heinz ketchup and you got Hunts and Heinz too, well, hey, listen, the word Heinz, right? If you got Hunts and Heinz ketchup too, but then you have the one that's good for Passover, then what the fuck am I eating? It's like, I don't know why it's easy to understand why the world just goes and goes, and everybody's walking forward, some are going backwards. Shalom, face card. Hey, Crystal, did I say hello to you, beloved? Why everybody's going so fast at the speed of lightning with nowhere to really go or get to. And it's because there's no direction of what to really do. There's nothing to do. You can march all day, you can form all these groups and stand up for the people in the community. We can't you That's dope. Somebody gotta do it, but for now, we gotta take care of ourselves. We gotta get our minds together. We gotta figure out, okay, how does this help me? How does this not help me? I don't like that. Let me pray about it. I want to say this to somebody. It might hurt them. It might start something. Let me swallow that pride and not say nothing. Let me just learn that not saying nothing is way better than saying something. You know, it's the reprogramming of ourselves that's going to make us better so that we can see the things that need to be seen, because it's going to get bad. Like, the more I think about things and the more I see things, the more I learn about the people that are involved in certain things that go on in the world. It's sick and it's crazy and it's worse than what we think. The whole Diddy thing, that's chump change under the water. They were done with him the minute they allowed Cassie to come forward. That means the higher ups, those Jews, took her side. They approached her, or either they had to approach her and allow her, because she wasn't gonna do it. Whether she liked the money or not, the man still was associated with a few bodies on him, supposedly, allegedly. So I could understand why she may have been fearful in a case like that. But I mentioned him and her because they're all the same. That's just a low level. Hang on one second, y'all. Yeah, it's just a lower level. What? Oh, okay. Mm, oh, okay. Sorry, y'all. But yeah, it's to the point where you start to see the Jewish people come out and be arrested for things that we been knew they were doing. That shit is all over, especially New York. They been ripping the system off. They the best at it. They got everything made and laid out in the shade for them. Yes, but listen, I understand that things will work out for me and you and everybody else, because it's gonna be that way. It's gonna get bad before it gets good. And I think when it gets bad, um, the beginning stages won't be so bad if you know about them. When you start to see the signs, that gives you a head start for preparation. You know how many people won't be prepared for certain things? You know how much of a privilege it is to know that there's something called the Blue Beam Project, to where certain people, after a while, when nanotechnology gets released into their bodies, whether vaccine or flu shot, whatever it is, food, they're going to find a way to get it up in you. You know, it it allows the mind to believe that you are seeing the second coming of Christ on the clouds, or that you see um, Buddha, or that you we're having an alien invasion. Listen, it's a privilege, because then you'll know, well, don't do this. I know not to get the vaccine. I know not to do this, because that's how it might get in my body. You're not weird for that. You're prepared. It's very important to be impaired nowadays. Never mind the food in the bunker. They got technology that can see your body heat through the ground. Fuck the bunker. Get right so when they come through that motherfucking bunker, if they decide to blow your goddamn head off, you at least secured you a spot where you supposed to be with the Father. I'm sorry I'm cussing with this. I be passionate with certain things. I gotta work on that cursing too. But it's all preparation and it's very necessary, you know, to be able to read politicians when they get up there and talk, to be able to I was gonna say something, but I'm not gonna do that. To be able to look at certain celebrities and understand that, you know, it's weird for them just as bad as it would be for anybody else. All the missing children in the world sent across seas to be trafficked. Listen, and that word traffic, let me tell y'all something. They dance with that word real softly with ballet shoes. And the reason why I say that is because it's a lot more than selling them children for sex. They are torturing and mutilating and doing all kind of shit with them kids, and then they're killing them for their blood. That's what the fuck they're doing. This is why the rich be wanting to keep getting richer and why they want to stay young and beautiful looking and all kind of shit. There's something going on with them. They're weird as fuck, you know? Who does this? It ain't even necessarily these celebrities. It's the wealthy people. The wealth, never mind the word rich. Wealth, dynasties, families, you know, royal families, bloodlines, the DuPonts, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, Bilderberg Group, Trilateral Committee, Onassis. Okay? There's so many groups of families that have money, like they call it old money. They've been dabbling in all kinds of things that affects us now and leaning further into the future. It's not going to get good. We're going to have a savior come back. So at least when he comes back, you know, at least we can say, well, you know, maybe even ask, well, you know, did I do a good job, Father? You know? So, or Yahusha, you know? So there was something else that happened that I wanted to talk about. Um, oh, the reason why I wanted to speak on this, because I also said I was going to do a live on death. So I'm going to kind of add this portion to it also. Hold on one second. Okay, I'm sorry. My bad. So one of the things that I also realize and why I say all of this is because a lot of people aren't afraid of death because they're not thinking about it. Not saying you're supposed to dwell or have it on your mind. Live. That's the beauty of life, living, right? But you don't get a do-over after that. You have to at least surround yourself with somebody who knows better that when you die that they have the ability to pray for your soul and not put you on a shirt, not put you in a comment and say rest in peace, not cry at your funeral and film it, not put on a fly outfit to send you to the ground. You don't know you in the ground. You know what I mean? Not do all of that, but to have an intimate moment with the Father and pray for your soul. Pray that He has mercy on you to receive you with arms wide open. That's a hell of a friend or a hell of a person. That's somebody who loves you who has the ability to do that. And we live in a world where people don't have the ability to do that. Every once in a while, it don't happen all the time because it doesn't always cross my mind, but I've gotten to the point where it has lately. I try to think of everybody I could think of that's no longer here in this world, and I ask the Father to forgive them and have mercy on them. And I say his name, and I say, I am sure that they now know who you are, but would you please have mercy on them? That makes a difference. That helps. You know what I mean? Because they're not in heaven with the angels. The preachers at the funeral will be, yeah, ha, ha, ha. I seen them walk by and the pearly clouds and the pearly gates was open. Ah, ha, ha. You know. No, it wasn't. They be lying. How you know? They don't know what these people be doing in their lives when certain people of the present wasn't there. You don't know what these people do at night when the lights go off, when the world is quiet. Listen, the world is full of certain people, ourselves included. I'm a weirdo. Shit, I know I'm weird. Sometimes I sit in the house and have whole conversations with myself. I ain't crazy. I know what the hell is going on. I know the sky is blue. I know my birthday. I know the president. Hell, I know Pluto never existed. But I understand also, you know what I mean? Because this is the thing for me. I don't have the ability to understand death talking to someone who ain't never, a painter can tell you about painting. A real estate agent can tell you about property and houses and stuff, right? A music mogul can point you in the direction of producers, engineers, etc., A&Rs. Um, you know, so if the experience isn't there, it's not much you can say, right? But our Father does tell us things, and everything we need to know is in that book. And one of the things that I pulled from it concerning the afterlife is there is a such thing as the waiting room. The Catholics call it purgatory. Um, this is why it's important to pray for them, because they know of nothing. They don't know what's going on. They don't even know they did. You know, they're not in hell. They're just there. And if you prayed for their souls, that would count. And it gives you ease with your loved ones who are no longer here. Because people that we love, we don't want them to be hurt. We don't want them to suffer, but we're not a creator. We don't know what these people do. We don't and can't hold no judgment towards people, family members, friends, whomever, loved ones. It's only one that judges us according to what we've done, So I've always wanted to talk about that and explain that these preachers be telling people, oh, he so and so done went straight to hell, or I know Miss so and so in heaven. Nobody up there, but the people that's supposed to be up there, the angels, the Father, the hierarchy of the angels, the seraphim, the wheel of the wheel. It didn't say Aunt Tara is up there, or Uncle Robert is up there, you know, uh, cousin James, who was too loose with the AK and the nines and shit. He's not down there with Lucifer. You know, the idea of even explaining it that way makes it dangerous to not want to look into it and get yourself together. Like, I have become more fearful of my father than I have ever been. Obedience plays a key. That little thing in your mind that's telling you something. It's not always just a little thing in your mind. You have to test that voice that you're hearing, because that voice, the direction that it may be pointing you in, and I'm not talking about simple shit. I'm talking about the direction that it may be pointing you in is what's necessary. And how you test it is you say it out loud in your prayers and you ask for it to happen again by the way of that source. Everybody has their way of how they do things, but my father says to test him. Test him so he can show you who he is. And I love it. I love it because when you're genuine about it, he will really show you. There's nothing that he can't do. I, at this point, don't give two squats about no damn student loan. Them people could garnish that check till it turned to $5.20, during my pay period. There's nothing I could do about that. And there's joy in that. I used to panic about things. Oh my gosh, panicking. What am I going to do? Until, like I told y'all that day, I sat right there and threw up my hands. This was last month, I believe. And I said, Father, I don't have the money for the lights, and I don't know what I'm going to do, because I'm not going to do nothing, because there's nothing I can do. So I release it in your hands, and I'm not going to worry about it because I can't worry about it. The light bill got paid. You know, he is a waymaker. He is a redeemer. He is a restorer. He is perfect. So these people that are rich, they don't experience that. That ain't in their mind. Power and wealth is in their mind. I got to get this endorsement from so and so I can get that extra 20 million. Motherfuckers be talking about an extra 10, 20 million like that's a bonus at the job. Most motherfuckers' bonuses at the job is a fucking catered fucking meal for lunch for one day. Nobody gets a raise, nobody gets a bonus. We just use the money on a good food celebration one day. That's not how you're supposed to feel. We're not even supposed to be working this damn hard, you know? But if we do things the way it's supposed to be done, we won't have to labor the way that we are. This is why I be doing what I need to do. And I'm so serious, for Christmas. I know Christmas is coming up, Christmas Eve tomorrow. I have to work, and I'm glad because baby Jesus was not born during the nights and the wee hours going into the 25th. It wasn't cold. It wasn't no December. Mary and Joseph, or Miriam, whoever you want to call them, wasn't going to no place to place and decided to go in the manger and give birth, you know. And I ain't taking away from nobody's teaching because the event took place. But I'm just not into the event that they want me to believe took place. So I'm just going to fast. I'm just going to sit back and relax and be happy, read my word, and redirect my energy to him. I know that I'm not supposed to participate in the pagan holidays. I know this. I don't want nobody else to have it rub off on them and say, well, that's too much, Gab, because my mother will say that. I always do for my nieces and nephews, but, I probably stopped about 2 years actually buying them things. I buy them stuff all the time, but I actually stopped with Christmas because I had to tell them I buy y'all things all the time, whatever you really want, and I don't really celebrate Christmas like that. So me buying you something is still celebrating it. So they understand. They done gave me a list of things they want, and I told them, I was like, I ain't got that kind of money no more. I don't know. We'll see. So they understand. But, you know, the whole wanting to constantly remain powerful by having X amount of dollars is crazy. you know? Um, it's not even so much about why it makes sense that laws are put into place. These what are they called? The Jews have been caught um, in the welfare cases. Like I said, it's always been like that. They're running everybody out of the neighborhood now. It's not going to ever be about the human race anymore. This is a spiritual war, and I be talking about things that I've always wanted to talk about without being blocked. Like on TikTok, I felt relieved when I was able to talk about these things that I talk about, but then TikTok kind of started to hinder me from speaking my mind on things too. So listen, I'd be very excited to get on here and talk about these things all the time on Rumble. But I also get on here to say it because I like y'all. I ain't got no friends. Y'all are like my friends. Y'all are my supporters. Y'all are the coolest set of people that I know. And sometimes you just can't keep good news to yourself. You got to share the secrets. The secret to life is fasting and prayer. That's what he said. Big facts. Fasting and prayer. It's not a better job. It's not a second job. It's none of those things. It's fasting and prayer. We can get whatever we want once we seek him. Never mind the other stuff. Keep up with your current events. Facts. That is what should be necessarily done. Current events should be kept up with. But make time to fast. It ain't even about vanity. Don't fast to lose weight, which will come about. If you're having a weight issue, pray about it. Fast. Listen, because my belly's starting to hang over this here, the top part of my pants, and it ain't never done that before. And it's doing it. So, but I'm not thinking about fasting for that. I don't care about that. I'll work out for that. I'm fasting for spiritual blessings. You know, you give up something to get something. I remind people and I say it to myself out loud. Jacob fought the angel for a blessing. He fought the fight and held on until he got the blessing. And did he get the blessing? We got to fight and hold on. So that is all. I just wanted to get on here and talk about those things because I hadn't been on here in a while. And I just wanted to brush those things across real quick to y'all. So I want y'all to have a good night because I do still have to go to work tomorrow. And I'm ready to go ahead on and clock in now. I wish it was a way I could work tonight and not have to tomorrow, right? And somebody send me a message on one of the videos or on this video if you know of an overnight work from home job that I might could participate in, whether it's chat, email, I don't care if it's over the phones or whatever. Because I have to get my money up. Now that I'll be in the house, I can get my dinner started and stuff, my roast. Listen, I can have my TV going. This is a blessing. I'm grateful. So now I just got to secure something else and I'll be in there. So I thank y'all. I adore you. You see, I ain't asked for no dollar donations tonight, y'all. Y'all always take care of me. Y'all looked out for me the other day. So I appreciate it. So I ain't gonna beg tonight. But y'all take care. I'll see you tomorrow. I'll go back live tomorrow. I'm gonna start back going live quite often. Rumble pays more than TikTok. They do. And y'all be watching them. So that's a good thing. I'm very grateful for that. So y'all take care and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.